Sound check. Is everybody good? Good morning. I'm Jason Stilley. I'm an Assistant Chief of the Lincoln Police Department. As always, I want to thank the media for covering this story. For the purpose of this press conference is to provide an update into the homicide that occurred in the area of 28th and F Streets Thursday morning. Before getting into the details of the case, I want to offer my condolences to the victims, family, and friends. In order to give some order to this press conference, I will make some general comments and provide a rough timeline, and then open it up to questions that you may have. On May 19th, 2022, at approximately 6:29 a.m., Lincoln police officers responded to a report of two males fighting near the home, near an intersection at 28th and F Streets. Responding officers located a 57-year-old male, later identified as Henry Lee Jones, unresponsive. Officers attempted CPR. They summoned medical resources to the scene, and Mr. Jones was transported to a local hospital, where he later was pronounced deceased. The family of Mr. Jones has been notified of his death. Again, we extend our condolences to his family and friends and ask the public to respect their privacy during this time. As with any in-progress event, patrol officers and investigators rushed to the scene to render aid and to provide stability to that scene. As patrol units arrived in the area of this fight, a Lancaster County deputy observed potential suspects getting into two different vehicles a short distance away near the 900 block of South 27th Streets. Traffic stops were performed on both vehicles, and 5 people were ultimately contacted. Based on subsequent investigations, 32-year-old Derek Pearson and 31-year-old Brianna Jelinek were arrested for manslaughter and use of a weapon to commit a felony. In addition, 25-year-old Micah Berggren was also arrested for second-degree assault and use of a weapon to commit a felony. While arrests have been made, this investigation is ongoing. We encourage anyone that has additional information to contact us directly at 402-441-6000. They can also make an anonymous report to Crime Stoppers at 402-475-3600. I do want to thank the quick response by our officers and our area partners, to include the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office, Lincoln Fire and Rescue, and also Bryan Hospital staff. I continue to be in awe of their tireless and dedicated work for our community. With that, I'll take any questions that you have.
Do you have any idea
how he died?
There's an autopsy scheduled this morning, and I think we'll be able to have more information after that autopsy. As with anything, physical injuries are something that come to us very quickly after an autopsy is conducted. Toxicology does take some time.
Do you have any idea at this point? We've heard that there was a fight, but do you know what led up to that fight? If these people were all known to each other?
Yeah. At this time, we know that there was some relationship. However, the extent of that relationship is still being investigated, but they weren't known to each other.
Do you know what caused the fight or what led up to the fight?
We have our suspicions, but we're not quite ready to get into that yet.
The report was of 2 men fighting, but you've arrested, 3 people in suspicion or related to this death. Was it just 2 men fighting, or do you have any idea?
Right. So obviously, the charging decisions leads to Mrs. Jelinek being also involved in that fight. As with anything, Andrew, we do get initial reports, and sometimes the witness statements, things differ between what we're told right away or what is put out over the air and then what we ultimately find to be the case. So, as with anything, we want to ask those questions and dig into it.
At this point, why was the charge manslaughter as opposed to other levels of murder?
Sure. We consulted with the Lancaster County Attorney's Office, and that was a recommended charge. Certainly, Mr. Jones died during a quarrel, and certainly we're hoping to know more as the investigation unfolds and additional information comes to light, such as the autopsy.
And what's next in the investigation?
Well, obviously the response is just a piece of this. There are witness statements that have to be taken. We canvassed the area for other evidence that we may be able to find to support this case. So there's a lot more that has to be done.
Did you find weapons of any sort or anything that might have caused injuries at the scene?
There were a couple items of interest that we ended up preserving, gathering. Those I would describe as like blunt objects, similar to a bat or a pole.
Could you spell the victim's name just to make sure we have it correct?
Sure. Henry, Henry, Jones, common spelling, Jones, born in 1965.
And so it was just blunt objects. There wasn't, or I guess was his injuries blunt force trauma, or was there open wounds?
So right now, we'll know more after the autopsy. We are going off of a variety of different streams of information, not the least of which is witness statements and also potential video in the area. So that sort of shaped the course of our investigation.
Do you know yet whether or not this was like a mutual fight between the parties? Was it something where they attacked this man? Do you guys know that yet?
It sounds like at this moment, and again, things can change, but it sounds like it may have been a disagreement over property.
And were any of these people residents of 2801 F Street?
We have the victim that was a resident there, and that's all I'm going to now.
So the suspects, did they live in that house too, or live in the area? And how soon was it after you guys were dispatched there that you had that traffic stop nearby? Was that immediately?
I can give you those details. I don't have the traffic stop time, but it was very quickly afterwards. Good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.